So hello and welcome once again to the channel. Welcome to another Assetto Corsa Competizione video here in the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini Evo 2023 car. We're just having a little look around the car and we're going to be taking part in just a random online lobby this evening, from which I had a fantastic race with another PS5 driver. But before we get into the video, I just thought I would spend a little bit of time. It's been a while since I've sort of looked at the state of the game on Xbox. Currently in version 1.9.12.1, and on PC they're in version 1.10.3. But as we look around the cab here in the Lamborghini, we can see there's still quite a bit of detail. I did this probably in the last video that we looked at. But on my monitor I run in 1440p. I've got a 1440p 2K monitor, which is capable of upscaling to 4K, but I really don't notice that much difference running in 4K 60 Hz as opposed to running in 1440p 120 Hz here at Monza. You can see there the McLaren's probably the best lap I've ever done is a 146.7. But here in the Lamborghini, I did manage to set, as you can see on screen there, a 146.897 in a very recent race online. So just quickly having a look at how I have my monitor set up. I generally have it set at 1440p. I just think it offers a better screen rate or refresh rate. But I just thought I would see what the visual changes might be if we bring it to 4K at 60 Hz. Probably a little bit brighter on the eye, probably a little bit more pop. I am recording this in 4K or 2K, but I still don't think it offers a great deal more visual elements. Obviously we can see quite a bit of detail in the cab, but I've still got that feeling that the depth's just not quite there. It feels quite flat to me when I look around the cab. There's no real sort of depth, like the wheels sticking further out to me. The car still looks much nicer in this version, but looking at this game on Xbox, this is how it looks on PC. We don't get that crazy sort of blurred effect. Every single image in the garage is perfectly crisp, and I really don't understand why this isn't being brought to Xbox before. We used to have this a long time ago in the version of the game, probably talking back into version 1.7, maybe even into 1.6. And I still don't understand why in the garage the visuals aren't 100% in focus. It probably is one of my little gripes that has carried through into so many iterations of this game. I really do wish the developers, I know that most of them are probably on with doing Assetto Corsa Evo at the moment, and whether there's going to be even any development with the game on PC, it would be surprising to see. Obviously the special events, again, something as you can see down there, I'll still take part in a lot of these in the PC version of the game. A couple that I haven't yet taken part in as of yet, a couple that I was very competitive in. But we just don't have any of this on Xbox. You know, there isn't even the names up on the leaderboard anymore in the Xbox version of the game. Anyway, coming back, let's continue as the video is titled. We're all about the Mustang really at Monza. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time trying to find some other car that's going to rival the Mustang at Monza. The Mustang is absolutely brutal here, and time after time I get in the Mustang and there is very little in the way of competition. Obviously we've got the McLaren, probably very stiff on competition, but I'd like a three-way battle somewhere along the line. Obviously very recently I spent quite a lot of time in the Porsche 992, and as I mentioned in my last video, I wanted to spend some time in the Lamborghini Huracan. It's got huge amounts of torque, the Huracan. It's got a good top speed. It's got a fairly short wheelbase. I really did think this would be, I guess, the jewel in the crown here at Monza, but it just isn't. It just lacks the grunt that the Mustang seems to have. In the setup, as you can see there, running absolutely zero rear wing. The rear of the car isn't particularly high. So it's kind of got everything running for it here at Monza. I've set, like I mentioned, the 146.8, but it's very inconsistent. That's literally the only 146 I've managed to set. After numerous attempts as well, I just cannot seem to find the time in this car. So getting the rear tyres, lighting them up as I usually do here at Monza. Try and get that temperature in the rear tyres before the start of the race. Probably one of the best cars when it comes to the dashboard, as we look down at the I guess the HUD display within the dash. Just with how I choose to sit in this car is probably a little higher than usual. Usually trying to set the windscreen centre view with my eyes as I look at my monitor. So I could probably even do with dropping the monitor down, or the visual down a tiny bit further, but start of the race then, getting up to 70 kilometers an hour, straight in with the power. And we've got this Mustang alongside us from the PS5 version of the game. I think it's only the only PS5 driver in the lobby, I think, but I'd probably be very wrong. So into the corner, he takes the inside line, giving plenty of space. Good acceleration off the corner. I do always find running very tight on this apex on the inside. Obviously I'm making the corner much shorter, running the inside line. And the Lamborghini is fantastic under braking. So getting very much up on the inside, a nice line through there. Very Oscar Pastori, I reckon, from the last Grand Prix at Monza, just taking Lando Norris by surprise through that first section, or the second section of corners. And I really did think, once I got in front of the Ford Mustang, this was going to be the end of the race really. But it's got such good acceleration. Very deep into the corner as well, much deeper than I anticipated, and a terrible exit through Ascari. Very much on the defensive and the corner cut already. So cutting to the inside, having to cover off that inside line. And considering this is recorded in 4K, the visuals really don't represent what I would usually see on Xbox. I will just have to have a look. Despite being in 4K, the visuals just aren't as crisp as I would like, to be quite honest. So covering off that inside yet again, like I said, the Lamborghini is fantastic under braking. Try and give the Mustang a little bit of room on the inside, but it's very fair and gives up the position. Looking in that rear view mirror all the time, you can see the front tyres still struggling for grip. Front left tyre very much getting close to temperature. The front left or front right tyre definitely nowhere near. Obviously I imagine everybody suffers with the same thing here at Monza. That front right tyre really doesn't do very much of the work. Obviously we've got a clockwise circuit and a much higher number of right-handed corners as opposed to left-handed corners, so the front right tyre really does struggle to get any temperature through it really. So good acceleration really off the second Lesmo, much tighter through Ascari this time round, and starting to get a little bit of space from the Mustang above. You can see through the rear view mirror. Temperatures on the tyres and tyre pressures much towards what I would prefer, a little bit higher on the front tyre pressures, trying to give the rear tyres a little bit more grip, running a little bit wide through Parabolica on the exit. Still that Mustang glooms very close in the rear view mirror. A 148.4 then, trying to weave around a little bit to try and break that toe from the Mustang chasing. And I run very deep into the first corner on this section. Very hard to try and get the car rotated through the corners, and really do lose all that gap that I'd managed to build into turn one. Very much on the defensive then into this second corner. Try to move out a little bit further wide, but it definitely makes approaches on the inside. But again, the car is very good under braking, and I think he's very generous really to give up the position, knowing that he's got the straight line speed. I think he's just biding his time, and I really do feel like I haven't got the better car under me as opposed to the Mustang, despite running at a better delta at the top left corner. We can see, certainly never really expect to be in the 148s throughout any of the laps in any of my races, to be quite honest. Unless I was running probably 100 litres of fuel, I'd certainly expect to be in the 147s every single lap of the race. And I think, as you can see there, it looks like a brake very late. Definitely braking just after or between the 100-yard board and the 50-yard board. Something that was apparent in a recent lesson that I gave to another fellow Xbox racer. When I was watching his laps back, it looked like he braked very late, and I really am not braking as late as it looks on this game. Just after the 150-yard board, literally milliseconds after it. It probably looks to you like I'm braking around the 100-yard board, but I'm definitely not. Again here, as we brake just alongside this 150-yard, or yeah, it looks like I'm braking so late. I really am not braking this late. Quite why the footage shows it like this, I really don't know. It's almost like the audio is definitely out of sync as we come alongside. Made a little bit of a mistake here, and I will see if I can just adjust some of the audio within this replay, just to try and get the audio to match the revs. I don't see it being a problem, but hopefully it comes across in the video. We get the same match of audio with the gear changes, so hopefully you don't see that as I'm watching it back in this replay. A huge difference in the replay footage here, but anyway, let's forget that because you're not going to see that issue. It's just here for me just now, so hopefully you'll just see the quality race that I'm going to about to have really with the Michelin man just up ahead. Molly Matt quite happily just gets out of the way in the Ferrari 296. So much better under braking, the Lamborghini. Get right up under his gearbox, but I think this is a real issue within the game, to be honest. You can see just how close I was, and just unable to make any headway at all even in the slipstream with the Ford Mustang. I can get so close to him under braking. As soon as he starts to accelerate, I really am just a sitting duck. It really doesn't matter how close I get to him. The slipstream effect is just, it's literally irrelevant altogether. It's got such good torque, the Mustang. It really is, I think it is the king of Monza. Definitely great under braking, but I still think the rear of the Lamborghini, how I've got it set up, despite it being set up in such a way that it's got quite a bit of understeer, I think, it really does suffer with oversteer. Possibly more so on corner entry than corner exit. Tried to adjust the preload so we've not got too much oversteer on throttle, but still picking up a fair bit of understeer on corner entry. Obviously we've got the rotation with having a low preload. I was really trying to get away from too much acceleration, oversteer on corner exit. Really is a fantastic car to drive, the Mustang at Monza. It's just, I've seen nothing that rivals it as yet. Definitely get a good 146 lap in the Mustang. I'm sure you've seen the other video I posted just recently with probably a 146.8 in the Mustang. I would like to find something that rivals it. I might even try the Mercedes AMG next, just to see if I'm sure it's a 2003 car, because it has got huge amounts of torque, the Mercedes. And it does run pretty well here at Monza. It's been quite a while since I've driven the Mercedes, and like I said, I just want to find something where I'm not running the Mustang, because it does feel like the most overpowered car at Monza because of its straight line acceleration and torque. It's still got the ability to run through a Ascari really well, and I think Michelin Man could definitely run a better lap. He's got so much acceleration. I think he ran a 147.3 if I'm not mistaken. So down into turn one again, then just catch him so much through that last turn, and then as soon as he puts the boot down, it just feels like he's probably got about 100 more horsepower, 50 horsepower more than me. The acceleration is just brutal off turn one. I always call these the corner with no name, really, the second sort of chicane. I wish it had a less invasive or a less demanding name. So I'd run a number of races here in the Lamborghini, and eventually come across someone that really was quite challenging. I've ran a good race earlier just before this one, against a GT2 car. I think it was Pedro Santo in the GT2 car, the Mercedes. And I think that was literally the day before. He was actually running in this race in the Ferrari GT3 car. I think he's definitely more suited to the Mercedes in the GT2s. Offered a really good battle just the day before. And the GT2 cars really do run well here at Monza. the straight line speed of the GT2 cars does make it very hard to get past in any of the GT3 cars really. You can kind of catch them through the twisty stuff, but when it comes to the straight line acceleration, that's where the GT2 cars really do come into their own here at Monza. So 6.5 minutes or so left of this race, 20-minute battle. And as you can see, under braking, just makes a little bit of an error. Michelin Man decides he's going to have to just cover off the inside line, and I do love how fair he was throughout this race. It really was a fantastic battle. Love these close battles, especially when you jump into the online lobbies and you come across some drivers that can offer a good challenge and a fair race as well. It would be nice to come across an online race where someone doesn't obliterate the foam bollards at turn 1, but there always seems to be someone that feels the need to smash through them. But yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you as well to everyone that's managed to get me into the 5,000 subscriber mark. I really do appreciate that. I was watching one of Arno's, a Norwegian streamer or YouTuber recently. I ended up watching a lot of his video. Do enjoy watching other channels relating to a Assetto Corsa Competizione. I think we're all looking for that special setup as well, or that special little tip to get us all faster. And I think he was mentioning really it does come down to just practice, really, the amount of time you've got to give to sim racing. I know I'm looking at working away for the next couple of weeks. It takes me away from the game once again, away from publishing any content. But again, it takes you away from practicing as well. I would like to participate in much more races in the XCL community, but I just don't have the time to be able to do it, or the free time to be able to do it. And I think, as he mentioned, if you want to be one of the fastest drivers, it does depend really on how much time you've got to commit towards developing the skill to be faster, developing the time and the commitment towards honing your skills as a sim racer. I know even as a professional driver, you've got Max Verstappen that spends a lot of time in the sim rig, and probably Lewis Hamilton that really doesn't. If there's any Formula 1 drivers that don't particularly enjoy sim racing, I know Lewis Hamilton really doesn't enjoy spending time in the simulator, or sim racing should I say. Maybe the simulator and sim racing are very different when it comes to online racing. And I'm sure Max Verstappen takes part in other, I won't say genres of sim racing, but other classes of sim racing. I'm not sure if he does any GT3 driving, whether it is mostly F1 in the iRacing community. I certainly don't think he spends any time in ACC. It's probably always on the iRacing format. But I'm sure there are plenty of others that get very out of shape coming out of the chicane. Really, I'm trying to push to get that toe really from Michelin Man. As you can see, someone obliterating the 50 yard board, which really does help a lot of drivers. I would suggest you use the marking on the right hand Arco barrier as that 50 marker. Just makes that difference when the 50 yard board's been obliterated. So very out of shape there, Michelin Man. I end up really do following him, losing a lot of front downforce from the car being so close to Michelin Man through a lot of the corners. almost into the 146s with the fastest lap, 147.08. And the rear of the car really is starting to struggle, even in my own car, for a rear grip. So tyre pressures maybe could do with just dropping the rear right tyre just a couple of PSI, try and get a little bit more rear grip. But you see under braking we do catch right up underneath his gearbox. But as you come off the corner in turn 1, again, even despite being so close, we just don't get any kind of tow at all. Obviously we are getting a tow, but just nothing that makes any headway on catching the Mustang at all. And then under braking, so much better, a much better line. And the exit is so much better as you come alongside the Mustang then into the first Lesmo. Much better line into Lesmo 1. Try and give him as much space as I can. I think he does touch his brake, just allows me to get up, and then I take far too much curb into Lesmo 2. Already know that I'm going to be coming under fire at the Ascari corners. You can see him just closing into Ascari. Then gives me a little bit of space on the entry, but not the best line at all through Ascari, taking a very tight line. Lots of oversteer on the corner on the exit, really do. It's a terrible exit off the corner, and I really am a sitting duck. You can see from the overhead view as we came on board with the overhead camera throughout this lap, you could just see just how much acceleration the Mustang has. As we come over the line then, when you're doing these kind of lap times, you really do need to start looking at putting 44 litres of fuel in to get that extra lap. A couple of drivers possibly choosing to run 40 litres of fuel. If you're going to be setting a 146, 147 for continuous laps, you really do need to put that extra lap of fuel in. So on to the last lap of the race then. Rear tyres definitely struggling for rear grip. I'm sure that'll be very evident through a number of these corners if I remember rightly. Not managing to get on his gearbox through this corner then. And the Lesmos, really do wonder whether it was better to run probably 2 on the rear wing, just to try and get a little bit more rear grip. Really do struggle managing to keep the power down, but a long way off the pace. Definitely not going to trouble the Mustang on this final lap. A bit disappointed. Hopefully I can get the audio to sync a little bit better. Whether it seems to be drifting throughout the entire replay, I've got no idea. But hopefully for you, you're just watching it and you've got perfectly aligned gear changes. But yeah, at the end of the race then, a fantastic race with Michelin Man. And I'll just park it in the usual position, indicator on, and pulling across to the right hand side. 4 litres of fuel then left, maybe worth running just 40 litres then. So let's just return to the garage. As we come on board with this overhead replay, I did mention I was going to run the overhead replay. Well, I thought I'd run it in a separate replay just as we start out the lap. You can see just how close I am under his rear wing, and you get the acceleration off the corner. It's almost like I've got no slipstream at all, the way the Mustang accelerates away. Through the chicane then, gets a little deep under the acceleration, and I managed to get accelerated nice and early, brake earlier for the corner, into the first Lesmo, try and give him as much room as I can, very compliant through the Lesmo. Michelin Man, take too much curb and just feel instantly on the defence. So much acceleration from the Mustang. Obviously we'll sort of change positions through the next section, but I just don't get anywhere near the slipstream that he gets. I get a terrible exit off the Ascaris, but you can just see the straight line acceleration from the Mustang is just, it's on a different level altogether from the Lamborghini. As much as the Lamborghini's much better under braking, obviously maybe just not suited to being the top of the top here at Monza. So across the line then, and let's just have a quick look at the tail of the lap times. So 147s pretty consistently, 147.1, 147.4. Just comparing the lap times there, never really lower than 147.3 for Michelin Man in the Mustang, but definitely there's a much better lap on there for him. But yeah, thanks for watching. As always, hope you enjoy the setup. Please do like and subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Please do press a like, leave a comment, and until next time, ciao for now.